Welcome to the White Sox REKAP Podcast. I am Ryan McGuffey. Well, here we are, mid-August, and the White Sox I'm saying firmly, sit atop the American League Central. Yes, they are fending off the Detroit Tigers and the Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Guardians. Notice the order I just went in because there's been a little bit of a shakeup and shuffle and the teams below the White Sox. But let me be clear. Those are the teams that are chasing the Chicago White Sox. Who have been in first place for over 60 calendar days. That's important. That number matters. And Jonathan Hood's going to join me to tell you why. With 40-plus games, the Chicago White Sox, they are in the driver's seat. Their rearview mirror might have teams behind them, but they have a clean road and a clear path in front of them. Has there been panic? Yes. From the team? No. From the fan base? Of course. We forgot how to react when a team is playing pennant-chasing baseball in mid-August and closing in on the month of September. Hoodie and I are going to lay out a path as to why we are right. And I'm not saying that you who are watching and listening are wrong. I'm just saying take a deep breath and listen to the path that leads the White Sox to the postseason, one in which they are firmly entrenched in the driver's seat. Jonathan Hood joins me on this edition of the White Sox REKAP Podcast, and it starts right now. You guys, you're such a great team in terms of day-to-day approach, but it's mid-August and you guys have a 3.5 game lead. Are you starting to feel like the pennant race is there? Are you looking at scoreboards when you're in the dugout?
No, not at all. 2 months left, big 2 months. Every team you play is going to be tough. Cincinnati's a really good team, and so we're looking, to hopefully take a series here. But yeah, we knew the Central was going to come down to the wire at the end, and Tigers are a good team. Guardians are a good team. Twins are a good team. So it's going to be tough no matter what.
Jonathan Hood, good to see you, my friend. Our guy Chase Mydroth. I figured a nice little soundbite to start you and I off together was a perfect way to set the table for this edition of the podcast, because I like that soundbite in the topic that we're going to talk about, because it tells you that the team out of spring training and mid-August now is approaching each and every day the exact same way, because we're sitting here talking about all of the other teams. We're looking ahead to schedules, comparing schedules amongst division leaders, and the White Sox are trying to win today.
You see, when you have a Chase Mydroth, Guff, he's like a lot of young players for the Chicago White Sox. When you say, the Twins used to kick the Sox ass, and the Tigers have been good for a long time, and the Guardians, they've always been, it just glazed over their eyes, the past. When you're a young player, all you're concerned with is today, 2026. So when you ask the question, like, are you scoreboard? You know why he's not watching the scoreboard? You know why the Sox aren't watching the scoreboard? Because you have a bunch of young players that are just grinding every day. And they're just waiting to see what the end result is at the end of the game. All of us as fans, we scoreboard watch and we take a look at the standings, sure. But for a young guy, we've used this phrase a lot here on the REKAP Sox podcast. They don't know what they don't know. They're just out there just having fun playing baseball. We know what it means because it's been a long time coming. But for them, it's like, I was a success in college. I was a high draft pick. And now I'm with the White Sox, and we know who we are. So everyone is the same to the White Sox. And there's a difference. It's just competition. They don't feel like they're less than. And I love that swagger and that confidence that they walk into the ballpark with every day.
Yeah, we're not sitting here telling you. I mean, Hoodie and I are fans too, okay? We get frustrated. That loss in the series opener against Cincinnati after Sean Burke shoved was inexcusable. I think it's the worst loss of the year. There's a couple that can be in that conversation. I don't think the Boston loss is the worst loss of the year. It was a shitty loss, but it was not the loss of the year. Not when you had a 4-0 lead, then 4-1, and you turn it over to your bullpen. But we can dissect those. I feel like each of those now is becoming more magnified, and we get lost in the immediacy of what just happened. And the White Sox don't. That's why I think this topic matters, because their ability to turn the page to tomorrow and just show up almost as if they blacked out or they got hit with the Men in Black stick, and they just go approach it, and Castillo goes out and deals, and they go offensively, get 5 runs, and worry about the next. Sorry, I forgot what just happened. If you're watching it, but he just got me. But yeah, their ability to not carry it yesterday's at bats into tonight's at bats into tomorrow. That's the stuff for there's been almost a disdain for Will Venable of late that I quite frankly don't understand. I know that there's been mistakes. The pitching change, for instance, of the Noah Schultz second visit, that was a mistake. He owned it in the broadcast immediately. I'm not saying that he gets a pass. I am saying that he didn't make excuses and that the accountability is there, and that I didn't love going to Grant Taylor for 2 innings in a game that you were in control of the entire night. But at the same time, it's not like they have 400 saves sitting there in the 9th inning. It's, the Tigers to McKinley Jantz. They don't have that guy. They're trying to get tonight's game done. Will Venable and this team is in first place in mid-August, and you heard me in the open say it. Over 60 calendar days in first place. You know what that means? That means the White Sox, no matter what, are going to be the team that has led the most days of any AL Central team, no matter what, no matter who wins the division. So that's why fans can freak out, and I get it. But the expectations are postseason, and the White Sox have been in the driver's seat for a long time, and I don't think that we are giving them the benefit of the doubt on that because we're so worried about the what if.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. What you're talking about is feelings and emotions for the White Sox. In the last couple of years, we haven't had that. Remember, we were looking at a 60-win ball club last year. Look at them now. They're over 60 wins. And where we are, we're not even at Labor Day yet. So it's just so great to have the feeling again. The blood is coursing through our veins as White Sox fans, because now we can pick apart a game instead of just sitting back saying, oh, there's an error. That's a bad managerial spot. Okay, well, we're not any good anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, it matters. That's the difference. It matters now, because when we see mistakes like Will Venable, when we see things like we saw in that first game against the Reds, in which you got a runner at second base in the 10th inning and Acuna swings and on the first pitch, and you see the banana out there, and it's an 0-1 pitch, and he just swings out of his ass, and then the game is over. That's a good thing that we feel this way. But the other thing we got to take in perspective, and it's not an excuse, it's just the point. Will Venable is young at the job, just like the players are young at the job too. So if there's going to be mistakes from a bullpen standpoint, or he has a brain fart, yeah, that's going to happen, because that's not Ozzie Guillen in the dugout. That's Will Venable in the dugout. Yeah. We do the same thing for Ben Johnson. We talk Chicago Bears around here, right? Ben Johnson, he can sit there and he can whoop Caleb's ass all he wants, but there's some calls that Ben Johnson made that was not becoming of a good offense.
LA Rams game. Who got greedy? They could have ran that football and walked into the NFC title game, but they didn't.
He admitted it though. Like, as a young, even though like I'm this boy genius and I have a hold of this offense.
There's arrogance and ego involved. There is, and that's okay.
I F up too. So the same thing with Will Venable. But the whole thing, Guff, is I'd rather have it this way than it has been the last few years, in which we can question and we can still love this team and love where they are. But just know it's growing pains across the board with the staff and with the players.
And I would say, because, and why wouldn't Sox fans look insular at each and every night at their own team?
Yeah.
But if you do peek behind the American League curtain like you and I do for our careers and our jobs and just the general interest of the game we love, there's a lot of errors happening every night in the American League, on the field, in the dugout, and upstairs. That American League West sucks. It does. It's a terrible division. I know that the White Sox are going out to Houston here in a couple weeks, and it's a big series. They're all big series from now on. I don't want to hear any more. There's so much like, Caps in there. Well, I mean, they got the Yankees. And I was like, did you forget about the Braves and the Dodgers and the Yankees series a month ago? You clearly did. That was the gauntlet. Then they had another gauntlet. And now, for what it's worth, they have the 4th easiest schedule in baseball. When you look at it on paper, it doesn't feel all that easy. It doesn't. Like, their last 6 games are juicy because you get the Royals and the Rockies to end the season. but they're all big series because you are the team that's in charge. And that matters. It allows you to slip. It's based. The White Sox have created this for themselves. Don't get swept. It's okay. You might get bumped on 2 out of 3 somewhere. Just don't get swept, because the teams that are behind you, that are chasing you, haven't shown that they're good enough to do the same thing. The Tigers have gone on an electric run. I'm so sick of hearing about the damn Tigers, and I have no problem saying this. The MLB Network, that motivated me. I can only imagine what it did for the players when across the board on their whiteboards, they're all picking the Tigers are the most dangerous team to play. The Tigers are going to win the Central. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for the bulletin board material, because your own front office gave up on you. Yes, I know you have good pitching and your offense has sucked all year and you have AJ Hinch in the dugout, but please don't confuse activity with accomplishment. You've been dog shit all year and you're still chasing the White Sox. I hope the Sox step on their throats this weekend in Detroit, because you could bury that team for good.
Yes. And by the way, if you're looking for the actual worst loss of the season, go to Father's Day.
It is that
is the word. That was so bad, and I'll never forget how bad that was, that I was so pissed off. I stood in the rain because it rained real bad that day, and I just stood on the patio and just let the rain just wash over me because I was so pissed the way that we played against Detroit. We just weren't sharp. It just wasn't good. The pitching wasn't good. The offense was not good. It was not clutch, and I hated that game. That game sucked.
That game did suck.
That game sucked. And this one here, that first game against the Reds, is a close second for me, because those are winnable ball games. As I always tell you, Guff, hey, listen, it's a long season. You're going to lose games. I just hate when we beat ourselves. And this is part of the learning curve, though, for a young team. That's why it's so much fun. That's why, there's some callers that we have on Cap and JHood about how the Bears and the White Sox have a similarity because of the youth, because there's mistakes that are made here or there. And then it's okay, well, we have the elixir to change it. We can clean it up because we have enough depth to clean this up. Like, for instance, the starting rotation with Sean Burke. That guy, if it was the All-Star game was today, he'd be one of the starters of the All-Star game.
He'd be in 100%.
It's him, and it's also what we've seen from Anthony Kay, underrated on this team because we look past him. How come Martin sucks? Well, what about Anthony Kay? Because every pitch begins with K. And then if you just squint a little bit and take a good look, oh my God, Luis Castillo. It's Sweaty Freddie Garcia.
Don't let him get
Garcia.
hot.
He has a Garcia type of demeanor to him. Every pitch seems like it takes 30 seconds a piece. He walks slowly in and out, off and on the line. It's is that you, Freddie? Is that you from 05? Because that was 05 Freddie Garcia in that first game, and that second game against Cincinnati. It really was.
And he pitched well. He pitched better than the numbers indicated in Boston. He had terrible defense behind him. But that game against Cincinnati with Luis Castillo did give you that Freddie Garcia vibe. That changeup was filthy. James Fegan wrote a really good piece about the White Sox kind of unlocking something with that changeup when they brought him over. Mm-hmm. That, hey, that pitch is actually a good pitch for you, and we're going to let you – we want you to let that thing eat. So that's the stuff. Those are the fines. One man's trash is another man's reward. He was being screwed all over the 6-man rotation, piggybacked, bullpen, no bullpen starting. He comes here where he's comfortable. It's like he has been his whole career. He's had 2 starts with the White Sox. Let me be clear. We're not calling him the second coming. But if he gets on a run here and gives you 6 innings of 3 earned or less, the quality starts the rest of the way, he has the ability, because he's shown it to you, that he could be one of those, deadline steals. You brought up the offense. And I am with you on some of the approaches I've seen lately. That game, that terrible loss against the Reds comes up that one on Tuesday. Specifically, I think from the 5th inning through the 10th, they had 10 pop-outs or flyouts, 10. And that's because they're swinging out of their skis because the first 3 guys hit solo home runs, and it's like boom or bust. And it's because as a group, they haven't done well in the second half like they carried in the first half. They have a 689 OPS. It's good for 20th in all of baseball. They were a top 5 offense in all of baseball in the first half. But there are guys. Chase, you heard Chase Mydroth to open the podcast. That dude is carrying this team, and he's got a bum wrist. He has, in the second half, has a 963 OPS and a 167 OPS plus with 5 bombs and 17 RBIs, a 568 slug. So for every Tristan Peters, where he's now gone from all-star to Brenton Doyle and him exchanging, every other day type situations. Yes, Colson Montgomery struggles. That guy seems to be a hot button topic across the board on the socials. Yes. And then he'll hit a 3-run homer right when everyone's ready to give up on him. When Braden Montgomery struggled, they're struggling more as a group right now, but you get the Chase Mydroth to carry for a week. Mooney Murakami's been fantastic. Like, he hasn't been 20 homer Mooney, but the 26 game on base streak matters. Guys are going to slump. And if you have enough to just tread water, you can tread water in the dog days of August when you have a 3.5 game lead, and still their ability to put one foot in front of the other each and every night. Like, I'm not stunned that they're hitting 219 as a team in the second half. Are you?
No, only because you don't have necessarily a bunch of guys that's carrying you. You're right. It's just one guy at a time. And by the way, I want it to be back the way it was in the first half, because in the first half, you didn't know who the hero was going to be.
Correct.
There's a number of teams, Guff, that need to be able to have one guy or two guys to carry them. The hallmark of White Sox baseball that we've seen this season is, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Murakami this night? Is it going to be Vargas this night? Is it going to be Mydroth? Is it going to be Acuna stealing bases? Is it going to be Colson? And I think that's the thing was so much fun about this. And it's still fun. What I'm saying is that it's not predicated on an Aaron Judge.
Correct.
You don't have one hairy-chested slugger to lead you. I like the diversification throughout the lineup where, hey, Colson get a hold of one, Braden get a hold of one, and then you just put up a crooked number. That's been White Sox baseball, really. So I'm glad it's not just one guy, because we'd really be screwed if you're just depending on the cleanup hitter. Or the lineup construction. Who'd you talk about early at the top of the lineup? They've seen a couple of times already, the newcomer? The top of the lineup?
Yeah. Doyle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know if I like that much.
Hey, I don't mind the plug, but he did homer. They think that there's unlocked power potential in there that probably will see some kind of adjustment in the offseason. Mm. He's shown the ability. He's certainly fast.
He is fast.
I look, if Chase Mydroth or Sam Antonacci are in the lineup, one of those guys should forever and always be hitting at the top, in my opinion. If it's Antonacci in the lineup, Antonacci's my leadoff hitter. He's just too much of a pest. Obviously, he gets on base, getting hit by pitch, 14 pitch at bats. That's why we're all so pissed about Acuna the other night.
Yeah.
I understand. You're trying to bring these new guys and find them a spot to get comfortable, but don't do it at the expense of what's worked all year. I hear you.
That's all I'm looking at. I'm not saying that, and I'm not going to be one of these guys that we got new guys that ruin the chemistry. No. It was needed to be able to add new guys. You needed that. I didn't want the Sox to stand pat, like some Sox fans thought that can't bring in guys because they're no, fuck that. You got to bring in guys that can help the cause. When Tristan Peters is struggling and swinging, he's just been lousy to me on a regular basis since the All-Star game. That's what happens when you use the ABS test in the All-Star game. When you use the system like, hey, you know what? I don't think Banana, what are you doing? You tapping the helmet of the All-Star game? Get out of the box. For God's sake, you should just be happy to be there when we supported you to get in there. He's tapping his hat like he's like something special. Like he's special to us, but not to the big leagues. I was embarrassed by that.
I get it.
He hasn't been the same since then.
He hasn't. I'm going to read. These are OPSs of many of the starters, many of the names that we've grown to love this year for the White Sox the last 30 days, which is post All-Star break. Okay, I'm gonna read because it's not about one guy. You just said it really perfectly. This team has never been about one guy. Like Murakami, it was about him the first 2 months, because we didn't know this was going to be the result in August. But as soon as Murakami missed those 35 games, that was proof of life that this whole thing, top to bottom, could be a different dude every night. Sam Antonacci, 705 OPS. This is, again, post-All-Star. Miguel Vargas, 684. Braden Montgomery, 670. Colson Montgomery, 592. Tristan Peters, 406.
No.
Okay, I'm not going to read Acuna and Drew Romo because those guys have been the same all year pretty much. But that's what, 4 or 5? That's half of your lineup right there. Mm-hmm. And you're still finding ways to win because you have the Chases at 963 and the Murakamis at 877 and Grichuk in his time in 808. And even Doyle in the limited at-bats he's had is a 762. So you're going to have you never want the guys to all do it together. We saw that with the Northsiders last year. The whole team 1 through 9 went 30 days where they all did the same thing, nothing. And it burned that team's ass big time. I don't think we're seeing that right now with this team. We're just seeing guys, young guys, like look at Colson, who basically just played his 162nd game. I want to be like, can we put that out there, please? Yeah, that Colson Montgomery sometimes looks like he has a major hole in his bat and in his swing, but he's played one full season of Major League Baseball. Braden Montgomery's played 50 games, okay? Miguel Vargas in one season has turned it around to be an all-star. But you and I on the preseason predictions podcast said this was a make or break year, and we didn't know if this guy was going to be part of the future. Yeah. So putting all of that out there, they are also the only team with 3 guys that have 25 home runs. This team is the best story in baseball. It's August 13th as we record this. They're still the best story in baseball. And it would have to be catastrophic for them not to finish as baseball's best story. That's why I wanted to have this podcast about being in the driver's seat. Let us panic. We'll all be backseat drivers the final 40 plus. Sure. That's fine. That's what our role is. That's where we should be in the car. Just don't disrupt what's going on in the driver's seat. We don't want the keys. We're the guys going, Mom, there's the exit. Mom, I have to go to the bathroom. Like, we're going to be the guys who are pissed off at the song, the temperature of the car, where we stopped to eat and why we didn't pee at that gas station. Let us be those people.
Yes, the White Sox are the ones in the driver's seat because of what you said, how long the White Sox have been in first place. And I know if there's someone that looks at the White Sox and said, yes, but, well, listen, we already know that they're young, but also their youth is the thing that's been leading them. It's not a negative. We can talk about inexperience and bad at bats. I mean, that's just part of baseball. But the one thing, Guff, that we have to mention is if you think it's because of youth that would stop the Sox from getting where they need to be, that's not the case. The youth has led them because they're loose and they're free. It doesn't mean that they're a wild bunch of guys that don't know how to play the game, because Will Venable and the coaching staff is tamping that down, making sure, hey, let's make the correction for the next game. And I like that, right? The quiet confidence of Venable makes me at ease. There's a difference between quiet confidence and sleeping in the dugout like Bevington and Lamont from back of the day. Right? That's a difference. And LaRussa would literally sleep in the dugout. Yes. Sleeping in the dugout. So there's a difference between that. There's a quiet confidence with a young Venable on this team. And I've said this many times, and I'll say it again. There's no one I'm afraid of in the American League.
Nobody.
And
nobody.
There's no one I'm afraid of. Like, I understand my bugaboo with the Sox is I want them to play sharper on the road.
Yes.
Because at home, they see the stands full. They see the adulation from the crowd at the rate, which is awesome, by the way, that the fans are like, yeah, I'm not worried about my kid at camp or school on Tuesday, Wednesday night. We're going to go out there because it's a great time. It's the summer, right? But here's the thing. I want them a little sharper on the road. But as far as the American League is concerned, the White Sox have proven that they could compete with anyone. Yeah, it sucked against the Red Sox when they were hot. Now they've cooled off. But this White Sox team finds a way to pick themselves off the mat. 25-34 is the thing I circle on my sheet here when it comes to the Sox. You just got to start winning series there and start stacking wins on the road too. You're awesome at home because you got the support. Now you got to do that on the road. But as far as this American League, this down American League that we're looking at, the White Sox belong. And I don't care what the experts at MLB Network say, the White Sox belong because they've proven it. They've proven 100%. It. And not behind one guy or one pitcher or one Hall of Fame manager. It's none of that. It's everyone growing at the same plane. Young manager, young players, sprinkle in with a little veteran leadership here or there. But mostly it's all youth. And it makes for a great story.
Yeah, no, we don't know. We haven't seen Will Venable in this role. The youthfulness of Will Venable as a manager, right in year 2. Yeah, we don't want the managing on your hands and knees like Ricky Renteria was doing during COVID when he was in the first inning. And I thought Ricky was great for that group. Yeah. But then he showed his colors. He was managing it scared, and I don't think every single time they cut away to Will, mistake or not. He is the same pulse, man. And yeah, Justin Jersley had a terrible send. I don't care what my guy Dan Plesac says.
That guy.
I mean, the fact that Justin Jersley ran down the baseline with him and was next to home plate when was it Braden Montgomery was called out tells you sometimes maybe the situation, there is some panic amongst a youthful staff. Here's what's different. The accountability. That's what's different. The accountability, like I screwed up. That's on me. Can't happen. Okay. Can't happen. Will handles Justin, right? Like Will is clearly in charge. And if you're listening or watching this and you don't like it, well, that's not going to change. Like, so you better find your way to throw something else at your egg on the wall, because Will Venable is a massive reason. You know, Tracy may win the manager of the year now because the Red Sox bias and what they've done is truly incredible. But to me, my vote for manager of the year, if the White Sox make the postseason, would not change, because this is a year-long vote, and the White Sox from start to finish have been the best story in baseball. You talked about the road record, you know, that Detroit Tigers thing, the MLB Network all picking the Tigers. The Tigers are 12-19 against the Central. You want to know why the Detroit Tigers have sucked all year? They haven't been able to beat their division. What have we beat into the stinking universe the last year and a half? The AL Central, where the White Sox have the best record in the division against their AL Central, 20-13. So it's not a shock, Hoodie, that they're the team on top. It's how it always works when you talk about the American League Central. Beat your division, win your division. Now they have some games left and a big series against Detroit, but they're all big, you know, division or not. And the White Sox, again, the one-run games have tightened up a little bit, but they're still 21-18, and they're 500 since June 1st. Like, and they're right as we tape this, they have a 3.5 game lead. You know what their largest lead of the year in the division has been? 3.5.
3.5. Yeah.
3.5. So there's been it's the time of year where the noise in the games are magnified. I get it. But what I'm trying to provide on this podcast is a sense of what that clubhouse is like, because it's the same clubhouse from like April 10th on August 13th. And that's why I think the White Sox, like everybody should stay out of the front. Everyone's in the middle or the back bench, man. We're like cramming 3 people in a 2-person seat. Like, it's a station wagon and there's many people on board. We have way too many people not wearing seatbelts. It's loose cannons, but that front seat is comfortable. It's the perfect temperature and the right song. And now it's up to the White Sox to finish the job.
Yeah, it's been a tight race a lot through the NFC North. I mean, the American League Central. It really has been, hasn't it? Outside of Kansas City,
yes,
it's been very tight. But I like the White Sox and what they've been able to do. You take a team that's been able to maintain a ton in the American League Central. And despite some of those numbers, they are ugly, or you kind of look at it like, wait a minute, I thought they were better than that. They are good, but you want them to be better and sharp as you get closer and closer to the playoffs. It's something to me as a fait accompli that our team's going to be in the playoffs. I just want to know what that looks like. I'm more confident now, but with the starting rotation, I feel like that we've gotten better as far as our relief corps is concerned. There's no more Sir Anthony. There's no Dominguez out of the closet that's going to scare you anymore. What I like is that this team is going in the right direction. And by the way, a shout out to Ozzie Guillen for this past Saturday, having his number retired. I wonder, and by the way, over Guff's shoulder is Frank Thomas. I know Frank is going through it with the White Sox. I think it's a shame that he couldn't put his issues to the side, or this can't be wrapped up that Frank couldn't be there with his former broadcast partner and teammate for one of his biggest days. My hope is that the next time the Sox retire a number or they honor someone, that Frank can be back, because he's not an A, he's not a Blue Jay. Okay. He's a White Sox. And so I hope that this is squashed at some point next time the Sox do something special like this for a player.
Really disappointing, because I know how close those two were certainly as players. And I mean, even as broadcasters, it wasn't just the Ozzie and Chuck show, the Ozzie, Chuck, and Frank special, man. Those things you were talking about a national broadcast each and every night with those 3 players. So yeah, it's unfortunate. A lot of familiar faces. Good to see a lot of those people. I mean, not a shock of the amount of people that showed up for Ozzie, who I've said, and I was going to play a little rapid fire with you and include this in there.
Yeah.
Who I said after thinking about it on Saturday, I think he's the most iconic White Sox figure ever.
Yeah.
And this might be a different podcast, but when you think about the scope of everything, I think he might be. You don't have to be the best player in franchise history to be the biggest icon, as you know. But what he did from player to manager to broadcaster, I don't honestly think we'll ever see it ever again. Not like that.
No, I don't think so either. Only because he grew up in the organization,
correct?
Helped the Sox win the World Series championship, and then as we talked about, we equate what he's done. It's akin to Stacey King for the bad Bulls basketball he had to call. And it's like Stacey, I don't think he realized at the time, like, you're the face of Bulls basketball. You had to be, because no one was watching that shit. But they were tuned in to see you and Adam do the commentary and have fun. And Ozzie has done the same thing for the White Sox. And so I could go with that. I'll put a pin in that, please, for November, mid-November, please. So on a
I have a feeling there's a CBA expiring soon. We have a lot of topics to come up with.
So please put a pin in that for like mid-November, please. On a brisk fall night. Please.
Yeah, I mean, the winter meetings are going to be canceled, so that seems like a good time to discuss the most iconic player. A couple of things, if you're cool with it, some rapid fire thoughts on a couple of topics. First off, right also behind me, if you're watching this, I just knocked it off. The Pope hat, the promotion, the game, the idea. Take the result of the game away, but the Pope hat, just your impressions, because I thought it was an A+ by the White Sox.
It's so great. It's so great. It's as we see. I see McGuffey putting on the Pope hat. I think it was great. And I'm sure that the Pope, who watches every White Sox game, had to enjoy the idea that they had the Pope hat on. That's so great. And people came out.
Every White Sox recap podcast as well as the Pope, as we know.
Yes. Does he? Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Preferred podcast of the Pope. We should actually start going with that.
I think we should tag the Pope. Is there a way that we could tag him on social media?
He has over, shockingly, he leads the world's largest organization, the Catholic Church. I think he's got well over 1 million followers. Well, I think it's actually, we're going to find, I'm not even going to wait on that, because I've seen this.
I want to tag the Pope here and let him know that we're on here on the Recap Sox podcast.
I forgot what his handle is, but it's I don't want to look into conversation. I haven't had any conversations with the Pope, so I was searching the wrong. It's like, search your conversations for the Pope. He has just a couple of followers, 17.8 million.
Oh wow. just go at him, and I think that he'll be able to lock in on the podcast. It's a great thing. I'm glad that the White Sox did this. I mean, Sox are always on top of these things, of these gimmicks, but that one worked.
The sign of peace at the end of the fifth, I thought, was something that we should consider maybe going down the road here.
Hosanna in the highest. The White Sox podcast.
And also with you. And also with you.
Big t-shirt, White Sox baseball, and also with you. Back of it, lift up your hearts.
Early impressions of Hagen Smith.
Well, I watched Hagen Smith in Arkansas as a voice of the UIC Flames baseball team. I love watching college baseball, especially high-level college baseball. Had on the SEC network, is like, who is this hard-throwing? This son of a bitch can shove. Holy smokes. And then he becomes part of my favorite team. He's drafted to my favorite team. I'm like, whoa. So I feel like I have an investment in him, Guff. Watching him on the SEC network, watching Arkansas, you're like, Hood, did you really watch Arkansas baseball? Yes, I did. I wanted to see what it looks like in the South, right? That guy is tremendous. So I'm happy that they are spoon feeding him, Guff. Mm-hmm. He's not a starter. They're not trying to rush him up like Noah Schultz. Just 3 strikeouts in game 2 against the Reds in an inning. So slowly but surely, I look forward to him being a big part of the second half for the Sox.
No hits allowed in his 3 innings pitched so far. 6 strikeouts, 5 walks. He's been a little bit of both. But man, that when he's striking guys out, everyone look. Those knees are buckling across the board. Update on Kyle Teal. really positive one, could go out to a rehab assignment at the end of August, which is way sooner than anybody thought. Before I ask you your thoughts, I'm trying not to put the cart before the horse here because I don't want to get too excited and be disappointed again. It's been not a season that anybody in the Teal family or the White Sox family regarding Kyle Teal would like to remember because of all of the injuries he's had. But if you were to get a Kyle Teal healthy for the entire stretch run of September and into the postseason, it could change the lineup. It could change a lot about the construction. It certainly could change the pitching staff and who's behind the plate. We've talked about the lack of offense from our catching all year. Kyle Teal, the update that we received on Wednesday, are you feeling positive or is it a wait and see?
Well, you know how I am about this. I don't miss someone I don't see. Mm-hmm. And when Kyle Teal returns, it's kind of like, okay, didn't hit very much. And then that non-contact injury that he suffered. Okay, so once again, I'll tell you, it's not about offense. It's about someone who can control the pitching staff. Jeff Brantley exposed Carroll. You saw that clip, right? Jeff Brantley, the voice of the Reds. He's like, watch when the guy goes to the inside and watch when he goes to the outside because it's tipping. It helps the pitcher tip his pitches because of where the catcher sets up. That is, Carroll should be better than that by now. That's why when he was going to the minor leagues, and we had Bart, I was like, keep Carroll down in the minor leagues for him to learn.
Everybody's like, why not Drew Romo? Well, now you know. You know why.
That's what it is. Well, we knew,
of course.
But as I told you, I said, I'm okay with the catching position as long as they
I've been all year.
Game.
I've been with you consistently. You and I have been the same on that all year. Even at the deadline, I was like, well, they need catching. I'm like, not really. I need more pitching. I'm trying to, I know what the catching position has been all year. Pitchers have been okay. Fine. Let's go. Kyle Teal's not healthy. All year, they have not had offense from that position. I'm with you.
Now, what pisses me off, though, is that if you're helping tip the pitches based on your setup and Brantley can see it from the Reds broadcast booth, then you're not ready.
Agreed.
Just not. Now, it's one thing that you don't hit the ball well, right? It's one thing that you struggle offensively, but if you're fucking up then too, no, I can't deal with that now. I need someone that can be able to call a good game and not expose the pitcher on the mound. I didn't like that.
Me either. And hopefully the challenges that look like in the last week, there's somebody said something because the challenges seem to be stuck in the back pocket until about the seventh inning or later, which you and I both like to see. A lot there to unpack, but you and I firmly believe that the White Sox in the driver's seat here going forward. We don't know how this is going to finish. I don't want to be sitting here talking about the what ifs. They're on pace for 84 wins as we tape this. You know what that also means? They're on pace to win the division. That's just what it means. Yes. Every team is under 500 as we record this. Big series against Detroit this weekend. Tell me does it scare me? No. Did they get swept there before? Yes. Did they bounce back like they've done all year? Yes. Just like they did on Wednesday against the Reds. Immediate bounce back game. We'll see how this whole thing plays out. But everyone else is chasing. Let's be really, really clear. And it's exhausting, Hoodie, to be the team that chases for months. It's exhausting. And at some point it can catch up to you. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying at some point it can. My friend, I hope that we're just think about the opportunity that we have to talk White Sox baseball the final 6 weeks of the regular season. I got that postseason schedule and we all saw the MLB release the postseason schedule this week. Mm-hmm. And I literally started plotting. I really did. And I'm like, and I'm not jinxing anything. I started looking at like the calendar going, okay, like I think the Sox are playing this day. And then you go to the ALCS and you're like, okay, that might be crazy. No, it's not. They could be the 2 seed, win a series, and you're looking at the ALCS. So it's nice to be in this position to talk about this brand of White Sox baseball and the opportunity that sits in front of them.
That's exactly right. I can't wait. I'm not going to fast forward through it because every game and every series matters. I've been waiting for this for years, for a series to matter, to just on a regular middle of the week to sit down and watch White Sox baseball and kind of analyze how this young group is coming together and how they're going to win games. By the way, it's not that they beat everybody 9-5. It's not that they beat everybody 1-0. It's something that you have to be invested in for 9 innings and also have the balls for 162 to enjoy it.
I'm glad you said that because I'm like, are you built for 162? Because the two guys you're looking at or listening to right now, we are. So I know that some of you forgot how this goes. You could be pissed. It could screw your sleep, but you wake up tomorrow and there's a new baseball game. Jonathan Hood, always good to be with you, my man. I can't wait to talk about what happens next with the Chicago White Sox. We will continue to ramp up episodes here of the podcast as necessary. I'll continue to get interviews along the way. Huge series next week at Wrigley Field. I mean, that is it's no longer just about the crosstown anymore. I mean, this is the biggest crosstown series 20 years, maybe. I mean, it's shaping up to be that way. So we'll have podcasts
cannot wait
after that. Oh, I cannot
wait for the Sox to play the Bananas next week. That's going to be so great.
I can't wait to go in there and fill their park. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. If you don't already subscribe to the recap, come on, what are you doing? Hop on board like everybody else is. Click that notification bell. Every single time that we drop a new White Sox Recap podcast, you get that notification, and boom, we are right there for you in your inbox. The first place White Sox roll on. So does the White Sox Recap Podcast. For Hoodie, I'm Guff. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to this edition of the White Sox Recap Podcast. We'll see you next time.